Welcome back, Internet family. And today we are talking about episode 22 of season 1 of A Different World, the final episode. We have made it, barely. But before I get into my full season recap, let's just talk about episode 22. So, the big deal this episode is Theo comes to visit Hillman. First off, when Denise calls, why is Rudy the only one who ever answers the phone? I think Mr. Cosby may have answered the phone one time, but I swear Rudy must have been on summer break or something because she was on deck with that phone. Girl had nothing else to do. But let's set the stage here. Jaleesa comes in. She's super excited because she's gotten an A in a class that's hard for her. Denise is down in the dumps because she studied hard and she got a C plus. And Denise is like, I really applied myself, but didn't turn out the way she wanted it to be. Two other girls come in the room and they're talking about, oh, I got a B, I got an A. And Denise is just, again, down in the dumps. So she calls home and gets Theo to come visit her. Let's talk about our old friend continuity here. This episode is again out of order. And if you've just been keeping up with the first season, you know it from the moment Maggie mentions a letter from her boyfriend and Jaleesa reacts like, boyfriend? Question mark. As if that man hadn't already come to Hillman earlier in the season to visit her. I'm just like, why have the last two episodes been out of order? It's just something that was driving me crazy, but we'll get more into that later. So Theo arrives at Hillman, and Theo, of course, 17 years old. The girls are looking at him, he's looking at the girls, and Denise ruins his game because one of the girls asks, like, oh, who's that man? And Denise's response is, he's no man. That's my brother. Peak Denise, honestly, peak me. Because if I had brought my 17-year-old brother to visit me at college and girls were looking at him like, ooh, ooh la la, I would have ruined his game, shut it down immediately. That is not what we're doing over here. So Theo's like, dang, you could have pretended that I was 19 or something. You could have pretended that I was their age. So he wasn't happy that Denise was kind of, throwing a wrench in his game. But Theo's out visiting Denise, and this happens to Denise every time because remember earlier in the season when Rudy came, Rudy wanted to hang out with everybody else but Denise. They're at a new place. They're like, oh, I see Denise all the time. Let me see what else is going on. Theo did the same thing. He had a meeting with the dean. He played basketball with the boys. He went to the school mixer. Theo was out there on vacation living his best life, and his sister just wanted to spend some time with him. But because this season is out of order, I don't know if really Rudy came to visit first or Theo came to visit first. Who knows? That's the theme of the season. But this episode honestly gave filler episode. A lot of the episodes in the season gave filler episode. But eventually at the end, Denise and Theo go to dinner, and Denise is talking about how hard college is and that, when she was in high school, she didn't have to study and she got A's, and now she's like busting her butt and she's lucky to get a C. And she was talking about, thinking about taking a semester off. And honestly, I very much felt her because college was hard. The major that I picked, I don't even work in that major. When I got to college, I'm not gonna lie, I was out partying, living my best life. And the degree that I chose is just not what I thought it was going to be. So I added a minor just so I could do well in those classes and try to keep my head above water. So I very much felt Denise when she was talking about how hard college is. It's just so different. And even now, as an adult, even further, I'm like, why did I want to grow up so much? Having bills, always having to get up and go to work. I should have appreciated being a teenager, being a kid as long as possible, but hindsight is 2020 and you just don't appreciate what you have until you're on the other side of it. Let's be honest about season 1 and walk through a recap here. Typically, y'all, when I rewatch A Different World, I skip season 1. Season 1 does nothing for me. I didn't like the theme song, the fact that a lot of the episodes felt like filler. I like when a storyline really progresses and moves along. This season felt like we're figuring it out. The fact that episode 22, nothing happened, there was no major developments, there was no cliffhanger. Why was that the last episode of the season? It just kind of felt like, all right, let's wrap it up and be done, especially since it was out of order. Maggie's boyfriend already came to visit, so why is Jaleesa acting like boyfriend? Like, I haven't heard about this. Let's discuss season 1 as a whole. Season 1 of A Different World is like the pilot season of a show that doesn't know what it wants to be yet. It's nostalgic, it's full of potential, but the identity isn't fully formed. And this is not something that is unique to A Different World. I feel like a lot of the shows that we have come to know and love, the first season wasn't all of that. The writers in the room were experimenting, trying to figure out what the vibe was going to be. And honestly, there's a lot of shows that I could probably list that I skipped season 1 because it just wasn't all of that. But yeah. So our characters, of course, are still finding their lane. Denise is our whimsical flower child. Her storylines, the ones that they would pick up, say her joining in the track team, they would then just drop them. I feel like her only consistent storyline was her being a subpar student. That was really the only thing that stuck. Even when she went on a date with Dwayne, we saw the one date and didn't hear anything else about it the rest of the season. Like, come on. And then episode 22, Dwayne wasn't even in it at all, which was weird because he's always there. Whitley is the early standout in the series for me. Her comedic timing, the one-liners, and when she showed her softer side, Jasmine Guy was really playing that character. If I had to say anybody was my favorite character of this season, it's going to be Whitley. As much as she annoyed me and got on my last nerves, there's something special about her too. We've got Dwayne Wayne. Dwayne Wayne was corny through and through. He was trying to figure it out, but let's be honest. Don't we all know a guy like Dwayne? I know I at least do. Ron is the friend who gave good advice, is still a clown, and we haven't seen it much this season yet, but Ron has Dwayne's back. Okay, 10 toes down he is. And we'll see that as the seasons progress. So that's something I'm excited for. Jaleesa has always felt like a grown woman in a sea of children. She had life together for the most part and was just very mature compared to everybody else around her. And Maggie is Maggie. Is not assertive. Maggie tries to see the best in everybody. Maggie is just like a piece of paper floating in the wind sometimes. I'm like, girl, what are we doing here? But that's kind of our characters. Then it's the out of order episodes that drove me mad, okay? That was really the season's biggest flaw is the lack of continuity. Characters reference things that haven't happened yet. Relationships appear and disappear. Stevie leaves and comes back. And then we never saw Lady Bostic again. It's just like, why are you guys introducing these characters and then we never see them again? That was my biggest critique of season 1. Now, some of the best moments of season 1, on the other hand, I did like when Dwayne actually finally asked Denise out. It came with a little advice and prodding from Ron, but he put on his big boy pants and he asked her out. I loved that. I did love the moments when Whitley and Denise, because obviously they couldn't really stand each other that much, but I loved the episode when they were doing the play and they realized that that guy was running game in their faces. And in the play, Denise tries to help Whitley. Again, I love just the moments that they share when there's a true sisterhood there. I even love when Whitley talked to Rudy and told her, like, go spend time with your sister. So things like that were fantastic. I actually really loved when Lady Bostic joined this season because there's something about her presence that just kind of switched up the atmosphere. When Stevie did come back with the whole egg baby fiasco, her talking about motherhood, and motherhood is something that you can't, it's not a course that you get an A in. I love that. Very solid advice. So there were standout moments in this season. Some of the weak spots of this season. Maggie's boyfriend arc. Honestly, I just didn't even see the point of that. Like him coming, him asking her to move in together, her being freaked out because she could say no. Like they honestly could have just left with the one episode, oh, my boyfriend wrote me, and called it a day. It just wasn't meaningful to me. Again, it felt like there were too many filler episodes. I would have liked one storyline to continue throughout the whole series. Not the whole series, but to continue throughout the whole season. And I didn't feel like we got that. The campus culture isn't fully developed yet, which is fine. It's season 1. We've got time to figure it out. But even as a show that's about a historically Black college, it just wasn't giving what we see on other shows. Like a lot of other shows, we see the Greek life is a big thing. We just see relationships with the characters be so strong, and this season just didn't have that yet. There wasn't like I don't know, there wasn't a strong emotional anchor to this. Even Whitley, when she showed those soft moments about her and her dad, it's like we'd talk about it the one episode and then we wouldn't talk about it again. There was just so many storylines. We'd bring it up and we'd drop it. Another weak spot, the theme song. That season one's theme song did not do it for me. Also, I never understood the end when the three girls are on the piano with the guy who I assumed was Dwayne Wayne is driving on the truck. But like, where did that come from? What the heck? But now I feel like I'm just complaining to complain. So those are my thoughts. Now, when we pick up on the next episode, when we pick up on season two is when this show started getting good, honey. New characters, new tone, new direction. Season one was the pregame. It was cute, but it was not the main event. Season two is when a different world really becomes that show. So y'all hold on with me and we'll continue to discuss and get into it. But my final takeaway from season one is nostalgic. It's the foundation of the show. But honestly, honey, it's not essential. You can skip it. All right. It's the warm up before the real magic starts. And episode 22 is the perfect example of why this season felt like a collection of short stories instead of a cohesive story. And we'll discuss this more in season two, but that's why changes were made behind the scenes to get the show to where it needed to be. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you guys have the same feeling about season one, or is season one of your favorites of the series and it's something you really love. Let me know if my lens is not where it needs to be and if I'm missing something. And before you dip, go ahead and leave a rating and review. It really helps me grow and it costs absolutely nothing to show your girl a little bit of love. For more nostalgia and chaos between episodes though, which, reminder, drop every Sunday, follow at Rewatch Culture Pod on all your socials. Thanks for joining me today.